Well, we're back again. And I feel like I'm going to just talk about all of the trades that have happened up until this point. Um, it's the fourth, and this is being filmed at the time of the Jonathan Kuminga trade. Um, I'm going to make videos about the big names. I've already made one about Jaren, but I will talk about um, goodness, I'm losing names now. It's that rapid. I'm going to talk about Anthony Davis and James Harden in a bit. Um, but man, this is right after the news that Jonathan Kuminga's traded. So let's talk about every not as big NBA trade or trade rumors. I'm looking at you, Sabonis. Um, that have happened in these last 48 hours. This might be one of the most active trade deadlines I've ever seen. This is almost as crazy as last year. Obviously, it's not as big with the names, although it might be. Giannis, go somewhere, please do something. All right, with Luka, but let's start at the beginning. Let's talk about the Wolves, Bulls, and Pistons trade that involved Jaden Ivey, Mike Conley, all that. Seems like an eternity ago, but let's talk about them real quick. The odd man out for the Pistons is gone. Jaden Ivey is gone. He's going to be on the Bulls. Hopefully he can rejuvenate his career. I love what the Bulls are doing by just taking in all these misfits and hopefully turning them into something good. I know it hasn't really worked out recently, but the Bulls are they wash their hands. Now they have their core, I guess you can call it, gone, of Vooch, of DeRozan, of LaVine. I know LaVine and DeRozan have been gone all year, but Vooch is gone. They're completely resetting now, which I think is probably best for this organization. And yeah, man, it is so hard to talk about these after they happened yesterday, which isn't even that crazy, but like it's still hard to talk about. Let's stick with the Bulls. Let's talk about the Kobe White trade. I'm going to kind of be all over the place here. Apologies for that. It's going to be a bit hard to keep up, but I'm just going to kind of talk about teams and trades as I see fit. So, Kobe White and Mike Conley are dealt to the Hornets for Sexton, Dang, and 3 second-round picks. And my initial thought was that's it for Kobe White. I know he's not been as good as he was before, but for that to be his market of Colin Sexton, who I think honestly is just like a tier. If you think about all the players of Kobe White's caliber, I feel like Colin Sexton falls the tier below Kobe White. But you know what? Whatever they had to do, they got Osamu Dang, and hopefully those seconds turn out to something. I don't even want to attempt to remember what those picks were. I think it was a swap worst with like Indy, Milwaukee, OKC, and Houston or something like that. So maybe that becomes like a first pick in the second round type of thing, and they can get someone good. But the Bulls are resetting, and it's interesting to see. Let's talk about Vooch for Simons while we're at it. Did I already say that? I might have. I'm losing myself. So sorry. Vooch for Simons, Bulls. Yeah, Bulls are just done. And, I mean, Vooch to the Celtics, I guess that's something. It doesn't, to me, seem like he's going to be that impactful to them. I feel like Neemias Queta has been good, but obviously not a starter quality player on a championship team. I feel like Vooch maybe boosts this offense a little bit more while Tatum's gone, even though the Celtics have been cruising without him. Shout out Jaylen Brown. You're a dog. With the news that Shea's out, he legitimately might be in the conversation for MVP, which is a wild thing to say when you have Giannis, Wemby, and Luka, and Shea, and all these guys in the league. And Jokic even. Jeez, man. It's wild. Let's stick on the topic of OKC, though, and talk about this whole little fiasco that happened in the span of like an hour we learned that the 76ers are trading Jared McCain to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a 2026 Rockets first and then 3 seconds. I feel like the Sixers gave up on Jared McCain too fast. I'll say it. I feel like that's not an unpopular opinion, but he got hurt, and he's obviously not the same player. I never expected him to be the exact same as he came back from injury, especially with how young he is and how much he's probably taking it cautiously because you don't want to risk your career while you're this young. But he is going to be nice for the Thunder team. He brings literally all of their flaws, I'd say, and patches them up. The Thunder just recently, I know they've been on a slippery slope. They're still going to be the NBA champions. I'm very confident in that. Shea is still one of, if not the best players in the world. But Jared McCain fixes their offensive issues. When they don't have a shot creator and Shea's out of the game, they go to Jared McCain. He hopefully just finds a new fire in him, and hopefully I hope at least that he becomes what he was destined to be. He is going to be a great locker room presence for them. I can already see the TikToks with him and J-Dub clowning around. They're going to be up by 40 on my favorite team, and they're just going to be laughing on the sidelines, and I'm going to get ready to throw something at them. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think Jared McCain fits the culture there perfectly. I think he's going to be a great backup for Shea. And let's talk about the news that broke. Shea has a abdominal strain and will be reevaluated following the All-Star break. I don't know if McCain's back. I'm pretty sure he is, because I think that's why he was traded for. But again, somebody please help me out here and update me, because I've been trying to keep up with everything going on and looking at it a little bit deeper, but it's hard. But yeah, with Shea out, it's going to be a battle. I know they are playing the Spurs right now, actually, so let's check up on how they're doing. Gosh, another breaking news article. I can't count the number of times I've seen that. They just lost to the Spurs again by 10. Shout out Spurs. Shout out Wemby, favorite player in the league. That's not a Phoenix Suns player. But as I look at this team, J-Dub was pretty good this game. Kenrich Williams, shout out to him. Aaron Wiggins, shout out to him. It definitely looks like it was a win by committee night, and that's what I'm scared about, because if those guys are inconsistent, which Lord knows they can very oftentimes be, then they will hopefully have a reliable option in Jared McCain. I know I've just said the same thing a few times, but I really feel that this is the trade that the Thunder needed to pull off. I knew they were going to do something. I feel like they weren't just going to sit around, even though I wouldn't blame them for it. But Jared McCain fixes a lot of problems with this team. So let's move on to what's even next? Covered the Conley, covered Vooch, covered all those guys. Man, I'm just scrolling through Sham's page right now and seeing what I missed. Here we go. Chris Paul, the point guard. I didn't even know he could get traded right now, if I'm going to be honest. I thought the Clippers kind of just dropped him. I know obviously it was more complicated than that, and they kind of just sent him home. But Chris Paul is going to the Toronto Raptors, and Ochai Agbaji is Ochai Agbaji is going to the Nets, and the Clippers just freed up a roster spot. I think, again, this is the Clippers clearing up their books for 2027. I said that with the Darius Garland trade. But Chris Paul in Toronto is a very, very good move. The Raptors have needed a point guard. They were what the Suns were told to do for like 3 years straight, and just go get a point guard because you need it. I feel like that Chris Paul is going to help a lot of the players there. Hopefully Scotty Barnes, as well, as he's been playing even levels up a little bit with Chris Paul, because I know as a Phoenix Suns fan, Chris Paul is the greatest floor raiser in NBA history. I'll say it. Easily the best floor raiser. Hopefully him, Brandon Ingram can all find a new spark and Hopefully their scoring numbers go up because, I mean, I know they're not down. I know they're pretty good, but hopefully this Raptors team can be as good as they were earlier in the year, where we thought they were going to be like a top 4 seed in the East. I also just want to see Chris Paul succeed. So shout out Chris Paul. Toronto's also out of the tax with this trade, which I think is important. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Lonzo Ball was traded to the Jazz and then dropped within the hour. So sorry, Lonzo, but the Jazz got 2 seconds. So yeah, there's that. I feel like I don't really need to talk about Jock Landale to the Hawks. It's Jock Landale. I don't know what the Hawks are doing right now. Fine trade, I guess. And Tyus Jones is going to the Charlotte Hornets. Great backup for LaMelo. I think he will hopefully help Khan and all them and Brandon Miller just kind of get into an offensive flow more. I know that the Charlotte Hornets are lighting it up right now. Shout out to them. Shout out Brandon. Shout out Khan. So yeah, Tyus Jones there. Hopefully he'll do something. And now let's talk about the final 2 trades that and then I think I've covered them all. Jonathan Kuminga is going to the Hawks for Kristaps Porzingis. It is not that, but the full trade is Kuminga and Buddy Hield are going to the Hawks for Kristaps. I just forgot Buddy. Sorry, Buddy. The Warriors had Kristaps as a target for this team in the last couple of months for a floor spacing big man. This means the Warriors are no longer in the Giannis sweepstakes, and I will get to Giannis and all that in a minute, but Jonathan Kuminga is finally off the Warriors after he demanded a trade. I didn't even know someone of that caliber could demand a trade. No offense to Kuminga, but he's not been that good. I asked my friend, who is a big-time Warriors fan, what he's picturing with this team right now, and he says he likes it. And I'll take his word for it. I haven't watched a whole ton of Warriors basketball just because it has been kind of messy these last few months or weeks. But Kristaps with that team is going to be great. I'm seeing Trace Jackson Davis was traded for a second. So now that they have Kristaps in a roster spot open, they can do a lot of fun things on this team. And I think Kristaps definitely helps you win more now. He's going to fit. I think he fits very nicely next to Draymond, as they are essentially polar opposites, not in personality, but in play style wise. Get well soon, Jimmy. Hopefully he can come back next year and this team can do something. I'm kind of grateful, but it also sucks we don't get to see Curry Giannis, because that would have been fun. But yeah, the Warriors, I think they just need to kind of retool this year in this offseason. They need to just see what more they can do. They need to test the limits of Kristaps. They need to test how this team can operate without Jimmy Butler in case he is not nearly the same player, which I don't imagine he will be. But if he's not nearly the same player as he was earlier this year, when he comes back next year, there's going to be problems. And hopefully this team can figure it out while he's out. I imagine that there's more retooling to do this offseason. I don't think they do anything else this trade deadline because it would have to be like a midnight trade. But that's that. Jonathan coming to the Hawks is interesting. It's a move. I'm hearing a lot of teams like Kuminga, and it says here that Quinn Snyder was looking for a sharpshooter on the wings and a high upside wing. Well, you got that. I don't know about if sharpshooting is the right word, but their wing position is interesting now. You've got Jalen Johnson and Jonathan Kuminga. The spacing there is interesting. I'm not really sure what's brewing in Atlanta right now, but I definitely think that they are. I mean, I know they are because they're doing it actively, but I'm trying to think of the future of this team. They've obviously retooled for a future. Zachary Risache, Kuminga, Jalen Johnson, they're all very young, and they all fit on the same timeline in terms of when their quote-unquote peak, is supposed to be reached. Goodness, sorry. And Um, yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how this team goes. Um, I don't know what else to say about the Hawks right now because they're in a very interesting spot. Um, yeah, we all thought AD and Trey were going to be Hawks together, but they're just they're on the Wizards now. So I think for what the Hawks have got, or for what's happened to the Hawks this deadline, I think they've made the most of it. And yeah, that's that. Now, let's get to probably the most fun talking points this deadline, and let's talk about the hypotheticals. And I'm looking at the triangle of trouble here in Giannis, Ja, and Sabonis. I saw a report, I don't know by who, that the Raptors are interested in Ja Morant and Sabonis. That would be huge. I think that'd be very good for, or maybe it wasn't the Raptors. Now I'm misremembering. Anyway, I think Ja and Sabonis on that Raptors team, I'm going to just go with that and assume that's what I saw because I'm like 90% sure. It's been a lot, but that would be a good pairing. I think John just needs a new home, and we can really see what he's got going for him. And Sabonis just needs to be freed from the Kings. That's it. So, with all that happening, let's talk about Giannis. We knew teams were waiting for this Giannis domino to fall, or at least preparing for it, right? We had heard that all deadline, and now that all these dominoes have fallen, I don't think Giannis gets traded this deadline. He's a mess right now because I just saw the quote today that I wanna stay in Milwaukee, I wanna win here, but unfortunately, like it just can't happen. So I think a lot of people are kind of being overcritical of him. I don't think this is him taking back his word that he wants a new home. I just think he wants to be in Milwaukee his whole career because that's where he's been raised, where he's lived since he got since he came here from Greece. And I think he wants to win in Milwaukee, but just can't with their current team, and I don't blame them because they are terrible right now. But yeah, I really don't think this happens at the deadline. I think that it would have to happen in the next few hours, and I don't think it will. So yeah. Sorry, a new alert, breaking news. I don't know how breaking this is, but the New York Knicks are trading Gershon Yabusele to the Chicago Bulls for Dalen Terry. Dang it, man! I wanted the Suns to get Gershon. But Gershon for Dalen Terry. Let's talk about it for a second, and then we'll get back to Giannis because obviously he is like the umbrella of all this. But the Bulls getting Gershon is interesting because I don't think the Bulls have a mold that he fits into right now. I think the Bulls are just kind of collecting players and retooling to see what it looks like. They're moving off Dalen Terry. Couldn't tell you a thing about Dalen Terry, not going to lie. But hopefully he thrives in New York. Maybe if he's a third string to Deuce, if Brunson's hurt or if Deuce is hurt. Yeah, not much to say about that. Gershon to the Bulls. Shout out Chicago. Anyway, getting back to Giannis, I think I have seen from all reports that Minnesota is the leading destination for Giannis. That is horrifying as someone whose favorite team is in the West. Oh gosh, Giannis to the Timberwolves is not good. I saw a report that everybody except Anthony Edwards is good to get traded. So I think a package for Giannis is probably Jaden McDaniels. Timberwolves fans don't attack me, but Naz Reid and probably like 2 to 3 picks if they have that. I know Naz Reid is the people's untouchable player, and I know that he is likely not going to get moved, and I think Minnesota will do everything in their power to keep him. But man, Giannis on the Wolves would be crazy. Now, if the trade is Jaden McDaniels, a couple picks, and Nas, I don't like that. Only saying that because Giannis, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert, I don't think can coexist on the court together. Um, I don't know if the money matches if Julius Randle's added. I'm not trying to think about money right now, though. But working under the assumption that let's just say all the money works. I think the trade has to be Julius Randle and McDaniels and 2 picks. As much as I know the Wolves want to keep McDaniels, I think he has to be traded here as he is a very valuable player to so many teams in the league. But yeah, man, I have Shams' page pulled up right now. My goodness, I thought I got another trade. But it has been crazy. This has been such a fun deadline, and I'm so glad that all these moves are happening as quickly as they are, even if it's hard to keep up with, because, man, it's been entertaining. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to call it for now. Shout out to all the trades that have happened. This is going to be a fun second half of the year. It's really all I got for you guys. Yeah, have a good one. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.